Welcome back to my channel, people, where we deep dive into interesting subjects. Today we're going to talk about another interesting subject, which is the star of Africa and how it impacts Africa's future. First and foremost, what is the star of Africa? Would you know that the very largest diamond ever found on this planet was found on African soil? Largest diamond, 500 carats of pure diamond, as large as a stone, was found in Africa. And today it has found its way into the scepter of power in the British monarchy as part of the crown jewels. Imagine that. That's one of Africa's greatest jewels. Is not a symbol of power of another nation. So how does this relate to Africa's future and everything? This subject is really deep. First of all, the Star of Africa is the world's largest diamond, officially known as the Cullinan. Yes, the Cullinan. So whenever you think about Rolls-Royce Cullinan, it got its name from an African diamond. You know, so this diamond is officially known as the Cullinan, and it's in possession of the Great British Empire as a scepter, as a crown jewel in their scepter of power. This is a symbol of Africa's relationship to the world, how the continent has been exploited and been enriching other parts of the world. And meanwhile, Africa is still struggling. That is a very, very, very big deal. But today, I thank God that the narrative is changing, because imagine how many of Africa's jewels have found its way into the rest of the world. You know, that Africa is now struggling to grow and develop itself. This diamond is one of the biggest diamonds. What something that could have been even like a tourist attraction on the African continent, or even something that would have been used to funnel growth in other industries. But today it's sitting somewhere as a symbol of power of somebody else. And this is the narrative that Africa needs to change. Because today Africa possesses 30% of the world's natural mineral reserves. There is no technological development without the continent of Africa. There is no economic development without the continent of Africa. We are pivotal for the growth of the rest of the world. So Africans need to begin to step back and realize that, look, man, we can't continue to play the game we've been playing and the continent continues to struggle. We have to wake up to the fact that if we don't step out, we're going to be exploited. Like most of the relationships that Africa has built over the last 100 years has been exploiting relationships, and we don't. What do we know? But for now, thank God the narrative is changing, because you can see the rise of tech hubs from Nigeria to Kenya to renewable energy in South Africa, and all the rest of all the industries combined. Africa is now posing itself for the future in ways that we cannot begin to imagine. Because sometimes ask myself this question, like, how could we just sit back and relax and all the jewels, all the diamonds just be taken out to other continents? What are we doing? We have to begin to think about how we could leverage all these key things and make a statement for ourselves. Because if you think about it, yeah, the real diamond now that Africa possesses is over 60% of the population is under the age of 25. Is over 60% of the population is under the age of 25. That is a gold mine. That is a diamond mine of humanity. So God has positioned us back to recapture our lost glory and reclaim our dignity in this world. So I think it's something that every entrepreneur, business person, Africa needs to embody on some level. We cannot let our stars continue to be taken outside the world, and meanwhile Africa is struggling. Africa presents an incredible opportunity. 30% of the world's natural mineral resources and 1% of the world's global manufacturing output. That needs to change. Africa needs to start putting itself in the value chain of investments, from processing to manufacturing to export of finished products, so we can capture a good part of the global trade. It's a key thing that we need to focus on, because if we continue in the way Africa is going now, it's not sustainable. We have a lot of young people to feed, a lot of young hungry mouths. That's a recipe for disaster. But if we look at the world today, we look at the bright side of it, with the internet, with entertainment, with education, with infrastructure. If all these things are placed together, more stars of Africa will be built out of this continent. More than diamonds, more than stones will come out of this continent, because everything is looking towards a future that is glorious, for this continent. It's easy to to step back and we see all the problems, the wars and everything, and the threats, and every country positioned itself to capture its own value from Africa. The West did their own. Now the Chinese are now trying to position themselves. I think it's time we Africans have to wake up and exploit our own continent for ourselves and to grow the economy of this continent. It's very important. I think Africa is like 1 point something trillion with 5 countries. So imagine all the countries are now developed. What kind of economy will Africa be? What's the potential? And I think that's what scares the world, because the world doesn't want to look at, I don't know, but the world, it's as if the world doesn't want to look at Africa in a different light. They want us to be the way we've been from the beginning till now. They don't want a situation whereby there is a new sheriff in town. There's a new, but as nature will have it, the demographics are speaking in that direction, because a young age, youthful ambition, youthful exuberance, resources, power, innovation, those things are things that we're going to start beginning to see on this continent. All the riots and all this, who has the power to do that? It's young people. Who has the power to fight wars? It's young people. Who has the power to cause problems? It's young people. So I think Africa needs to get this right, because we cannot continue to have our stars being taken from us, because our stars, not just in representative of the diamond, which is a symbol, but our stars, our intellectuals, our doctors, our everything cannot continue to be brain drain. You have to find a way to start processing added value on this continent, which leads me to say one of the best ways is entrepreneurship, which is why I'm an advocate of entrepreneurship, because that is just one of the key things I see that Africa can truly embrace and fight and get to another dimension in this territory, because the clock is ticking and the time is coming. We all need to know what is our part to play in this system, because imagine the other diamonds that exist in this continent. Imagine the gold, imagine the oil, everything used to build new industries, new infrastructures, leveraging the diaspora, how we could connect all these realities to form a new central system that can help develop this continent and make all our dreams come true. So we don't need to be jackbuying, we don't need to be worrying about, this and that. We can all have our own, so to speak, 40 acres in a mole, live the African dream. There's something like it, because I see a world that coming that if we don't get this right, there's going to be problems, because you cannot have a lot of young people and not give them opportunity. There has to be something, and we also cannot have the foreign companies coming to exploit and change and just continue to stay where we are. I hope this video helps you. Thanks for watching.